Welcome to yet another episode of your technologically inept foods teacher, Mrs. K. Here to go over with you our daily recipe of the simple chocolate souffle. And this recipe we may actually get to eat because we plan to do it individually. Woo woo! Empty MC Hammer style! Mrs. K is the best. La 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 la. Okay, so it's a Nutella. It's a Nutella chocolate souffle, but if you don't have Nutella at home, you can make a simple ganache. What is a ganache? Ganache sounds fancy, but it's quite simple, Dax. It's so simple. You could do it on your own for Thanksgiving.
Really?
Yeah! Dom, you could do it too! Do you know how? A ganache is simply made by taking heavy cream. So whipping cream, every time I ask a kid what whipping cream is, they're like, it comes in a spray can, right? That's the stuff you put in your mouth and go like this. No, that is not what you do with whipping cream. Real heavy cream is a liquid. It is not sweetened. It is 33% milk fat, so high in fat. So this is a sometimes thing, not an always thing. And basically, you get your heavy cream to a steam, and then you pour your steaming heavy cream over semi-sweet chocolate or chocolate of your choosing. So in my house, I might have Chip-Its. I like these, they melt pretty good. So I've got Chip-Its. You could use baker's chocolate, a chocolate of your choosing, or if you're feeling really fancy, you get like Bernard Callebaut chocolate or whatever you like. So if you don't have Nutella at home, you could always use a ganache. So Nutella is pretty expensive, but I mean, it's the food of all champions. And so we're going to use 60 mils of Nutella per person. I actually did the caloric intake of Nutella, so this also needs to be a sometimes thing, yes, because if one person was to eat a half a cup of Nutella, guess how many calories is in here? Anybody wager a guess?
300.
300. Higher.
250.
Try again, Alfred. It's all good. Higher than 300.
500.
No. 880 calories are in this cup of Nutella. So when I did the caloric measurement for this, I was like, there's no way that any single student is eating this whole cup. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna half this recipe into a single souffle. We're gonna bake it in a small little custard cup. So Mrs. Strada is bringing you them. So these little custard cups, you can buy them from Canadian Tire. They're good to about 450 Fahrenheit in the oven. And you can grease them and put your souffle in here. Now, I want to show you the 3-bowl method for egg separation. That's Miss Cochet. Hey, Miss Cochet. Miss Cochet's here because we share the love of Nespresso. Okay, so I've got an espresso machine. The only thing that keeps teachers going during this Teachers Without Borders COVID-19 business. All right. So 3-bowl method. When we separate eggs, we have the bowl in which we separate over, and then we have a yolk bowl for clean yolks, and we've got a white bowl for clean whites. When we're beating an egg white, if my dishes aren't clean and they have a residue of fat inside, an egg white will not beat into a nice stiff egg foam, okay? 1 speck of fat on the dish. If you get 1 speck of yolk, which has fat in it, in the egg whites, they will not beat, okay? So you could be there forever, which would make me laugh, but you get a very strong arm, at least out of it, okay? So there is a couple different ways you can separate eggs. Personally, I like to do it in my hand, with clean hands, or you can pass them back and forth through eggshells, like your grandma used to do. The reason I don't really like that method is sometimes if you didn't do a really good pass, you can puncture the egg yolk and contaminate your white pretty easily. But because your hand doesn't have any sharp edges, the white easily just kind of goes through your fingers, and you have a solid yolk that you know is still a circle, and it goes in here, and you know because your yolk is solid that you have a nice clean white, and you transfer your nice clean white to here. Does that make sense? Dax, a question.
If you have a water bottle,
You could do the water bottle method if you want, but Miss Kay's old school here, and she's going to teach you Grandma's method, and then my method. My grandma was actually a very bad cook. God rest her soul. I loved her so much. The thing that she actually used, we used to make fun of her for. My grandma had a great sense of humor, just so you know. And she, you know, if she's still alive, she would be laughing. She always burned the garlic bread, always. So I put my clean white here and my clean yolk here. You see how I have, you can see that it's whole because she's still whole, and I got a nice clean white. So that's perfect. So it needs, so each person, because we're gonna have, this is gonna need 60 mils of Nutella, 1 egg yolk and 1 egg white. So if you need 1 of each of those, you basically get 1 egg each, and you get 1 egg yolk, 1 egg white. Perfect. So I'm gonna use all of the parts. There's not gonna be anything wasted. So you're gonna preheat your oven to 375, separate your egg yolk from the whites as per the demo. But I'm gonna separate one more just to show you the other method of separation should you choose to use it. It's absolutely up to you. And if you have an accident with your egg, just relax. Mrs. K's gonna be like, that's it, you failed foods, gotta start over. No, we'll just try with another egg, it's all good. So, and see, like your eggshells are kind of sharp, they're not very even. So when you do this passing back and forth business, you know, you're rolling the dice, Okay, so I pass it back. And then oftentimes when you do that passing back method, you don't get the whole white off too. A little bit goes in with the yolk. So the hand method is faster. All right, and then I put my shells in the garbage, or in my house we have the compost bucket that the city of Edmonton now forces us to do. So you crack over one bowl. Why would I do this? The reason why I would do this, and in the case of something like an angel food cake, how many egg whites does it take to make an angel food cake? Anybody know? Alfred, do you know? Can you Google it? Did you hash brown it? Hashtag it? How many? Talk to me, bridge. 2. 14. 12 to 14 egg whites it would take us to make an angel food cake. So let's pretend I was just using one bowl to separate my eggs, and I'm separating and I'm separating and I'm doing my thing. And then all of a sudden, on the last egg, I break the yolk into 13 egg whites. You ruined all of them, right? Whereas if you just have a bowl, you separate 1 egg at a time, you ruin 1 egg, and you have clean here and clean here, then you're safe, right? That's how we don't waste eggs. Now, if you're ever only just using the whites, save your yolks. You can even freeze them. You can make custards and all kinds of stuff. You can make lemon curd. You can make hollandaise sauce. There's so many things you can do with just the yolk, so it doesn't make sense to waste the other part of the egg. Go put that on my desk, face down. I'm not a creeper, but I want you to engage with me on the taxpayer's education that you're getting. I'm the taxpayer, just in case you were wondering. And the teacher. Getting hit twice. Okay, so with this it says beat the egg whites until they form a stiff peak. Now because I'm a very mean person, I'm gonna make you do it by hand. Oh, has anybody ever beaten an egg white? By hand? Using a whisk? Get ready to rumble. So you're gonna need your muscle power, and we need to get our egg whites to a stiff peak. Now, when you do your egg whites, I suggest you hold your whisk overhand, like I showed you yesterday. Overhand, and we go up and over. The reason why we go up and over is because as the egg whites jump up, they grab the air, and that is where we're using air as a leavening agent. Basically, now this takes a while. And I do want to teach you something else now that I happen to be teaching you about egg whites. I want to teach you about cream of tartar. We talked about tartaric acid and its function to make certain things. Now this is an exact place where we want to use our cream of tartar, being hopeful that I could even find it. I don't see it. They must have it next door. They're making royal icing, so you need it. Okay. Cream of tartar, or if you don't have cream of tartar at home, because some people don't, cream of tartar is an acid. What other acids might we have in our fridge? Lemon juice. A couple drops of lemon juice, that would do it. That would help us to strengthen the proteins to grab more air. So Miss K is a really loving but mean teacher. I'm going to make you do it by hand, but I'm going to give you inspirational music to help you. stop the video there for now, and then so I'm back. I have folded my egg yolks into my Nutella mixture. I'm doing enough for 2 soufflés, so it's 125 mils of Nutella, 2 egg yolks, 2 egg whites beaten to a stiff peak. We talked about the different peak stages. So stage 1 is a foamy stage, stage 2 is a soft peak stage, and stage 3, ideally, anytime we're folding in an egg white, needs to be at the stiff peak stage. So how do we determine that? We pull a whisk out of the egg whites, and it should stand straight up, okay? So, and we've talked about adding acids to egg whites to strengthen the protein bonds to get more air into your egg whites. So if you don't, cream of tartar is the typical one that we use in baking with egg whites, but if you don't have that, you can use a couple drops of lemon juice. And remember, if you're ever adding sugar to an egg white, you need to add it only after the soft peak stage. Otherwise, the egg whites, sugar is so heavy, the egg whites will not be able to hold it, right? So the egg whites have to have structure first. We're gonna go into that more deeply when we make baked Alaska. So what I'm doing is folding. Folding is a mixture that is a way of mixing where we try to combine the ingredients together without losing the air. I think with something as thick as Nutella, it is what it is. We're gonna try to fold, but it's an around and around motion, and we're basically wanting this to look homogeneous. Can somebody tell me what that word means? What does the word homogeneous mean? Dax.
It looks like one.
It looks like one. It looks like it is one with the Nutella. Then I'm gonna bake these sweet treats together, and then out will come a beautiful souffle. All right, so if you are not in class today, if you missed the class because you're sick or whatever, you will need to do this lab at home. Miss K has done the demo, and this recipe, it should be in your Google Classroom. If anything is ever missing from your Google Classroom, you guys, you just let me know, and I'd be glad to post it. If there's anything you're interested in that's not on the Google Classroom, Mrs. K has much knowledge and many, many recipes. So I'm gonna continue to fold this, but until next time, also Monday, stay tuned for the next episode of Miss K's class, and enjoy your weekend.